Whatever your opinions of Sword Art Online might be, there's no denying the impact it had on the community, especially when the first season dropped. Like, that was a lot of people's gateway into anime, just being sucked into a world we don't really see stories tackle going inside a video game like that, and it brought in a lot of new fans. And whatever your opinion is, whether you thought it went to the complete ass or it was amazing all the way through, it had an impact on the community. And while anime's at a very different place now, there's so much anime being made, and it's very likely Shangri-La Frontier will not get the same buzz that Sword Art Online had, because it pretty much had it from the first episode. There's no denying that there is a very similar immersion going on with the intro of this, while different, yes, because there's more of a comedy approach versus you're trapped, if you die in the game, you die in real life, blah blah blah. But when you compare the fact that somehow Shangri-La Frontier got better produced with its second episode after already blowing me away with its first, the idea that they're tackling a video game, really diving into the fundamentals of what makes a video game, the ins and outs, and hell, even if you don't really understand video games that much because you don't play them, they do a good job at giving you terminology like NPC, non-player controlled character, right? You know, just they go about this in such a way that watching our man for the first 5 minutes or so fight this snake that I thought we weren't going to see the fight of. I thought we were just going to cut into this episode and he'd be on a new adventure. No, we get to watch him fight, and from the simple moments like, okay, he gets poisoned by the kind of like spit attack, or the poop attack, I guess is how they're referring to it in the game. And the idea that, you know, if you were to not really play video games too much, you probably are under the assumption, well, if he kills the snake, then the poison effect will go away. But no, poison is basically, it's a timer. Sometimes if you have enough health, you can outlive the poison, but most importantly, you gotta heal your ass. And he has to sprint to a rest point if he doesn't want to lose his items. And watching this show so far, from the comedy moments to the way they actually explore this in a very SAO way in terms of the intro, but actually diving into the fundamentals and without having that thing hang over our head like, oh, if he dies and he dies in the real world. No, it's like, no, if he dies, he's just worried about losing his items, which any gamer can relate to, especially after the hustle he just put in. And while this may not blow up the same way Sword Art Online did, I would not be surprised in the slightest if this is many people's gateway anime that gets them into anime because it's funny, it's badass, and just, wow, look at how they explore a game. But at the same time, those of us who have been around for years or months, however long you've been watching anime, there's no reason you can't get a hell of a kick out of this, and that's why I'm not going to be surprised if this is many people's anime of the season. Now, I do have a full live reaction episode 2 of Shangri-La Frontier available on my Patreon. If you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. I am loving this one. I was surprised, I really was, because usually with these types of shows that are like, okay, you know, this isn't the studio you expect to bring out their A-game, the best of the best animation, and first episodes, last episodes, those are the ones that, you know, you get those right contractors, the right animators, and that's why they look the way they do. No, episode 2 was better produced than the first episode. Like, that snake fight was incredible, and I think the idea of having a fighter who doesn't just kind of stand there and slash, no, he's backflipping, He's putting his leg muscles to work. He's constantly flipping and doing things. And it's not just like he randomly slashes and hopes for the best. Like, he learned from the rabbit that there's certain ways that you can get criticals. It's not just about how hard you hit, it's about where you land your attack. And for the snake, it was basically inside the mouth area because his scales were just so goddamn hard. Now, of course, he starts withering away and getting a kind of critical zone in terms of the outside. But as we see, it was a pretty hard fight, all things considered. Blades were breaking, he had to bust out the rabbit blades that he was grinding for. And honestly, like, things were just not looking good for him. And by the time he did get the W, I mean, he had hardly any health left. Like, every 10 seconds, he was dropping 1 health point, and he only started this fight off with 30. And it was hilarious because I love the idea that they went the route of like, okay, so he doesn't have any potions on him, right? Like, all he has is the very few pieces of clothing on his back and his weapons and items. He doesn't have anything that's going to cure the poison, and 30 health points getting poison is not going to be, like, if he was lucky, the poison would have stopped at 1, but of course that's not how it was going to be. And the idea of rushing in, you have this like little date with these two people and how he gets to show off his pro gamer moves, like, oh, if you go to the inn over there, that's where you gotta run to, bro. It was fun, it was cute, but I think the thing I'm really excited about, because they end in such a cliffhanger. So at night, there's more dangerous monsters. So, you know, goblins and stuff, he was doing fine up against those smaller fry. And the red cap goblin was pushing his shit in 100%. Like, he was not even able to get attacks in And then in comes the cavalry, and like he's getting swarmed by a dozen. If you can't deal with one, a dozen's gonna kill you, right? And what happens is, I thought a dragon came in, because the first thing we see, it's very hard to tell what it is. It's just a giant lightning blast, and I was like, man, that face looks like a big dragon. And Big Pupper comes in and is a very unique, powerful beast, and I don't see how he can fight that. I think his best bet is to be like a possum and play dead, because I have no idea how he could fight that thing. And it was interesting because at the very end of the episode, it shows like a bunch of computers. I assume that's where the game is kind of being stored on the servers and stuff, and 0 unique monsters have been killed so far, so this will be interesting. Is this kind of like the endgame threat of the season, endgame threat of the story overall? We don't know, but either way, they're doing such a good job because they're showing why this man's having so much fun. Like, everything about his assumptions with this game, whether it's how you can go about playing it, or yeah, like this is cool, like the sensation and the controls are great, but you know, it's clearly lacking depth, and every step of the way he's appreciating it more and more and more. And his first death wasn't even something that pissed him off, because yeah, he died in the bed, and of course, you know, got a little penalty, but it was something that, it's a thrillness and a sensation he really hasn't experienced. And this is what makes the gamer inside me just so happy, because you look at this game top to bottom and you say, this is how I would have been playing it, but I also recognize why characters would play it in this way. And by adding in that comedy approach, rather than the he's trapped in this game, he has to value his life. No, bitch, like, we play in video games here. Sometimes we gamble with our life, and that's exactly what he does, going up against a beast that he really had no right fighting solo, since it was really designed for a party. Sure, in his friend's defense, you know, the girl who keeps, you know, she waited in the starting village, where the hell is he? She one-shots that fool, but that's obviously, you know, no surprise. She's literally wearing like mid-game armor, and she's clearly built different, like she's gonna one-shot that fool. And I'm sure at some point we're gonna see our boy one-shot that snake again too, because obviously it can respawn, because it's kind of like the guardian of the bridge, right? Either way though, this show, it has that exact same feeling, because I remember my feelings when first watching SAO, like the first 8 episodes or so of that, like just the thrill and the excitement of exploring a world like that. This has the same level of polish, both on a technical visual level. The OST is fire. I still think it's probably my favorite opening of the season, but it's the fact that the way they break things down, whether it's just him just mentioning the simple fact that, hey, these NPCs, like, they talk exactly like human. And it's true. Like, you don't look at when he interacts with people, is that a player? Is that, you know, just a computer? No, it's like they all feel alive. And it's really interesting to see, because it makes you understand why so many people jumped into this and why it became the biggest video game, because holy shit, who the hell wouldn't be playing that? Grandma would be playing that if you slapped a headset on her, because she'd be like, holy shit, little Johnny, how the hell is this so realistic and fun all at the same time? I really like the simple moments too about him like building up into some new weapons, like the fact that he goes mining. The only unfortunate thing with the whole frog situation was I was under the assumption that the frog that kind of trolled him and got him all dirty, and he was like marching real slow, I thought there was gonna be a bigger frog, like a mama frog, and he'd start like bullying it, and then the big frog, like Konosuba style, would eat him or something. Instead, we get like a little jam session with them at the end after the credits, which was unexpected. But either way, it's nice seeing him get some rare items. I mean, at first it didn't look like he was getting jack shit, and then he ended up with this very rare piece of ore or a fossil, and gets some pretty sick weapons. Now, here's the thing. We know things can break. Durability is a thing in this, and honestly, the thing he has to go up against next week, unless he can find a way to escape, I mean, that's gonna be bad, especially because if he does lose items when he dies, he could very well lose those, and that's not looking good. I could legit talk about this show for hours. Honestly, I just love watching it, but let me know what you thought down below and how excited are you for episode 3 of Shangri-La Frontier next week. Let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. Like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Ryan, Thrilled Access 709, Wesley Davis, Mr. Yawk, Lelouch CC, and Proof Space. I appreciate the support. Everyone, please take care and have a good one.